you're getting like this huge pool of people, intellectuals, academics, industry experts.
All thanks to one email to the correct person.
Did anybody help you with all the job applications?
No, I was alone by myself as a strong and independent woman.
I was waiting for that statement. We're going to use it in the short as clickbait.
I mean, come on. The primary purpose of any degree is to give you the skills. Obviously, without the skills that I got from my master's, I would not be able to do what I'm doing now at my job.
Terve ja tervetuloa. Welcome to the JYU For You podcast. My name is Irfan and I'm your host with the most glasnost. In today's jam-packed episode, we're going to have a conversation with a PhD student from JSBE, Alina Arti, who also graduated from the International Master's Degree Program in Digital Marketing and Corporate Communication, where she wrote a very successful thesis that we're going to discuss a little bit today. But we're also going to discuss that big topic that everybody is wondering about. What do you do when you arrive to Finland in order to maximize your chances for success, and how do you find a job in Finland? To learn more about these topics, join us for a little conversation with Alina. Cheers. Just go with this. Okay, Alina, oletko valmis?
Olen.
Are you ready?
I am.
Bist du bereit?
I do not know what language it is.
Okay, that was German. I'm trying to come up with like some creative ways for everybody at the beginning of a podcast, but at some point the creativity just disappears. I think I'm like presidents in a debate. I think I start off weak, but then progressively it gets a little bit.
You can ask ChatGPT.
For beginning, yeah, but they haven't implanted that chip for me. I'm still waiting for Elon Musk to deliver it.
You can do it in advance.
Oh, sooner or later, there's like a... Maybe one day our AI department will come up with a chip. They're going to make a special one just for the podcast. But seriously, how are you doing? How's life treating you?
Life is good. We have already discussed weather prior to the recording, but yeah, to the people who are listening to us, it's finally summer in Finland. So, and when the sun is shining, life is better.
Sun is shining. So question, what's more important to you? That it's warm or the fact that you have sunlight basically from, what is it nowadays, from like 3 a.m. to 3 a.m.?
Oh, yeah. Well, I have blackout curtains, so I'm living normal life. I just close them when I'm going to sleep and open them when I'm awake. And the problem is with the light is solved. So, yeah. But
doesn't it sometimes just leave you tempted? Like I just get incredibly fascinated because I grew up in an area of the world where, you know, the longest we would have light was 9 p.m. And then here it feels like it's daytime at 9 p.m. and it just immediately tempts me. I want to just go on a walk, enjoy the nature. And also just, you know, I think it's maybe the body's way of trying to recover all the vitamin D that wasn't accepted during the winter.
I'm pretty sure that's the thing. But for me, it's the opposite because I was born even further north. So when I was a kid, for me, it was weird that in some parts of the world, when we go traveling, there is like, it is dark at night. I was like, why? Seriously, that's... It took me some time to accept that, like, not in all places there are white nights.
Well, that must have been a disappointment for you then.
Yeah, I do not remember. But now I'm just like, it is sometimes weird. I've been to Portugal recently, and there, of course, it's not light at night. And the first day I was like, what? Why? So, like, it takes time to adjust. And, yeah, blackout curtains, highly recommended.
Oh, yeah, that's one of the first things that I got when I arrived to Finland. Because I got here still in August. And I realized, okay, I'm not going to be able to...
Well, in August, it's not that light anymore.
But still kind of is, you know, it was like 10, 11 p.m.
Well, true.
Which is still, you know, late enough. But you said you grew up with this.
This type of... weather conditions and light conditions, yes, I did.
So where did this journey begin? You said up north, so you're farther north than Jyväskylä.
Yeah. I was born in a city close to Finnish border, like 30 kilometers away. And it's pretty much the same type of weather, nature, and everything. So for me, Finland, when I moved here, wasn't a surprise or anything because like this is something I grew up with.
In the terms of the climate and the weather, I assume that was the...
Yeah. Like in terms of how, I don't know, the forest looks like, how the air feels, and like how much sunlight do you get.
Okay. So how does the journey begin for you? Why did you end up in Finland?
So because the city where I was born, or the town where I was born was so close to Finland, many of my friends were moving here for studies, for education, for better life, whatever that term entails. And there was an idea that maybe I can go and try myself somewhere else. Maybe that will bring me more opportunities. And a friend of mine, she applied to a high school in Finland a year before me. And then she was like, yeah, why don't you come? And I was like, why don't you? I come. Yeah, let's try. And I was 16 or 15 back then. So I didn't think much. Obviously, I didn't. I was like, yeah, let's give it a try. And here I am 10 years later.
That's pretty daring to move to a... Did you like permanently move?
Well, I obviously traveled back and forth because I was studying at the same time in school in Russia and at school in Finnish city or in Finland. Yes. So I traveled back and forth, and it was like 2014. It was easy to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So wait, did you actually do the schooling in Finnish, or was it in English?
It was in English. Yeah, I have never studied in Finnish. I like the high school, the bachelor degree, master's, PhD, everything in English.
Oh, cool. And so you're already giving us an overview of like, I've gotten pretty advanced when it comes to my education, but we're going to go step by step. So you went to high school in Finland. I'm assuming Lukio?
Yeah, high school in Finland is called Lukio.
Okay.
Yes.
But I think there's that divide. It's like, koulu. Yeah, koulu.
Well, koulu is like general school, I think. It is not a particular segment of
But were you going for the one that's going to prepare you for a particular vocation or the general one?
A general one.
Okay. So it was a general one. So how did you enjoy high school in Finland?
Well, it was very different from everything I experienced before, obviously. But yeah, it was fun now that I'm looking back. And it was very weird that there is not so many subjects that you study. Mm-hmm. And I remember my biggest cultural shock was that people were wearing just socks when they walk around school. That was like, why? I mean, it's dirty. Spoiler, it's not. For some reason, it's always very clean. Yeah, and then at first I was like, no, I will never do that. This is weird, blah, blah, blah. But I ended up walking in the socks in school because it's very comfortable. Yeah. It was interesting experience, but I do not think that it was so much needed for me. Yeah, I could have just like graduated from Russian school and go to bachelor's. I don't know. No, but it was the random decision that I did in my life, and I had to handle the consequences.
Okay. I think it's kind of good that you're already mentioning, it wasn't a necessity because not everybody can go to a Finnish high school, but it was, an interesting enough experience.
Yeah, and I obviously it was easier to integrate into independent life and studying in general in different language in different country through this experience, at least for me. But a disclaimer, we are discussing our experiences and our opinions, and please do not hold us accountable if your experiences and opinions differ. Please write them in the comment section and we can discuss.
Oh, great. So I don't have to write the disclaimer in the actual episode. The disclaimer is within the episode.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Kiitos paljon. Okay, so how does the journey then continue? You finish high school in Finland, and did you just immediately have this plan? You're going to continue off to university?
Yeah, pretty much. I was like, okay, I definitely need to go to get a university degree. And that was very weird because I didn't really back then know what do I want to do with my life. I was like 18, and when you're 18, you very rarely have a very clear vision of how your future should look like. So I was like, okay, what is it that I enjoy the most? And I had skills in like physics and chemistry, but I never was like very happy when I was doing it. So I looked at other opportunities, and one of the easiest and most obvious degrees in Finland back then was the Bachelor of Business Administration.
And when you say back then, sorry, just give me a timeline. 2016,
it's
I guess?
2016, I
Okay.
think. Yeah, so what is it, 8 years ago? And I applied to, that was very random. Like I look back and I'm like, why? What were you thinking? I was like, okay, when you're applying for the Finnish universities, you have a choice of 5 institutions that you need to prioritize. And the way I did this priority list is very questionable. I was like, random, let's do it this way. I've never heard about the city called Mikkeli, let's go there. Something like that, literally, terrible. But it ended up a good decision. I quite easily went through all the selection process and got accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how I moved to Mikkeli and started getting my bachelor degree there. Yeah.
And the bachelor's was, what's the university again?
I think now it is called the Southeastern Finland University of Applied Sciences.
Okay. So you went straight to an ammattikorkeakoulu.
Yeah, so for me, I have an interesting experience with Finnish education system because I went through almost all of the stages. I went to Lukio, I went to University of Applied Sciences, then I went to university. So gradually developing.
And when you went to the University of Applied Sciences, was it a specific international degree program, or was it just a program for everybody that you happen to be able to do in English? Because I'm assuming you studied in English.
Yeah, I did. I think it is international degree program, but they have the same program in Finnish.
Okay.
I think. Of course, a lot of time has passed, and actually they changed stuff, and the degree program now moved to another city where this university has campus. So I do not know what now happens at XAMK since I graduated way too long time ago.
In a while. So you don't do geography, but let's see, how good is your geography? What's more down south? Is it Mikkeli or is it Jyväskylä?
Well, I assume that Mikkeli is slightly lower.
Okay. So you then decided okay, I don't like it, this down low, I need to go a little bit further up. Was that the simple procedure?
Yeah, I must admit that wasn't the reason I chose Jyväskylä.
What a surprise. You're telling me geography wasn't the essential decision for you to come to Jyväskylä?
No, that's not what I said. Geography did matter, but not the how far south or north it is.
It just mattered that it's in Finland.
Oh, yes, it did, of course. Yes.
So how did it go actually for you? So did you graduated, I'm guessing, from XAMK in 2019, 2020?
2020, early 2020. Yeah, that was a
wonderful time.
Yeah, fun experience. You graduated in February 2020 and then COVID happens. Gosh, that was the time to forget, actually, not to remember. That was very, very painful thing because you graduate into nothing. And yeah, that's very difficult to go through as a person, especially when you're 20 years old. You're like, what am I supposed to do with my life? So it took some time figuring it out, working here and there, trying to understand what is it that I want to do with myself? What is it that is my field? Because the thing is that when you're getting a Bachelor of Business Administration, you learn a little bit about everything, but you do not really have a very narrow focus. I kind of knew that, okay, I need to move probably towards marketing things or something like this, because I'm not interested in finances or data analytics, and like general management is not my thing. So probably marketing. And yeah, that was the time when I was like, when I actually started to think how to make my life better and in terms of career. And I started to figure out, okay, I need to find and this is a big advice for everyone who is in that stage of their career and personal development, is that you need to find a industry niche where you want to develop and like put all your efforts towards that direction. Do not like disperse all your energy. So I was like, okay, I literally wrote a list of things that I kind of feel comfortable with doing. Back then I was teaching English, and teaching in general was like an education was always like my passion. I was like, yeah, that's so cool to like pass the knowledge to someone else. And also I always enjoyed communications and marketing. And I was like, okay, I need to combine these two. I need to do communications and marketing in educational field. And I was like, okay, let's assume that that's my focus. How do I get there? How do I get to the position where I can do both of these things simultaneously? And in Finland, it is much easier to find a job with a master's degree than it is with bachelor. Not in all fields, but I'm talking about marketing and business in general. I think I can generalize a little bit in here. And I started to search for master's degrees, and I knew that I need something very practical, like hands-on. So prior to this episode, we were joking that the word international is sometimes a red flag for some people. I was among that group that I definitely didn't want a degree that has something to do with international business, because it sounds, for me personally, a bit too general. Like it's not fitting into the focus that I found for myself.
And especially in this framework of like, sorry to jump in very quickly, there's that saying that they have, jack of all trades, master of none. And you kind of realize for yourself, like, okay, I want something that is very, very, very specific, a little niche. So then for you, again, going back to the whole personal experience, not general experience, seeing international with a program meant to you, okay, I feel like this isn't precise enough. I want something that's going to give me that exact focus.
Absolutely. I totally understand that there are people who think differently. They are mostly into, for example, management. And for them, that's the perfect type of education. But I wasn't this type of person. And back then, when I was searching for master's degrees, digital marketing and corporate communication was the only master degree program, international master degree program in Finland that promised something tangible. And looked very nice. And then I was like, okay, let's research where it is. Let's see what is the city and so on. And it turned out to be in Jyväskylä. And I was like, yeah, like the city, why not? And I applied only to this program, only to this university. And I don't know, probably I was a bit overconfident, but I was like, yeah, obviously I'm going to get through.
I feel like this is also an advertisement for DMCC, because basically everybody whom I've ever met who's studying DMCC, the story is always very similar, kind of like this. It's, oh, I realized that I wanted to do something specific. I found it in Jyväskylä, and then I just applied to that.
Yeah.
And they don't have backups, and that always surprises me.
Specific people, love them.
I mean, did you really not have a fear even for a second that, oh my God, I'm not going to get the dream career. I'm not going to get the dream. Well,
no, actually, like usually I am this type of person, but with this thing, I was like, yeah, of course I'm going to get through. of course I'm going to be studying there. Like, come on. I'm usually not like that at all, but for some reason with this, I'm about to drop the mic. For some reason with this choice and with this program, I was like, yeah, it's going to be cool. It's going to be absolutely all right. And it was.
So do you remember, how did you respond when you got the acceptance letter?
I was like, I had to run some risk evaluation, like, because it required moving and it required back then a distance relationship. So that was also a thing to consider. And yeah, I went for it. I decided that, yes, I must develop, and otherwise I'm going to be stuck. And also we remember my focus on teaching, academic career and everything. So I was like, I struggle without university in my life. I need to have it there to feel fulfilled.
I really want, because we talked about this a little bit before when we met to just discuss you being on the episode. You mentioned that already. And I'm really curious, why do you feel that the university is such a big necessity for you? Is it the structure? Is it just like the academic curiosity? Or
I think the second. I think that like academia in general, it gives me this kind of like feeling of being alive. I do not know why. I do recognize that I'm quite a rare species in this type of sense, that many people try to run away from the university as soon as possible. I'm not that person, and I enjoy the places that provide education to people. I enjoyed school. I loved school, actually. Same with the universities. Yeah, it was a little bit different with bachelor because I was like wild, young, and reckless there. But yeah, once I got here and started my master's, I was like, yeah, that's the place. That's where I want to be. So yeah, this is who I am as a person.
Okay. So you finished your master's degree in digital marketing and corporate communication in 2023.
Yeah, like early 2023. And I needed to speed up my thesis process so that I can right away apply to PhD.
Wow. So you had this expectation from DMCC. Would you say that the expectation was met? That you were able to engage in that practical type of work?
Yeah, okay. So here is the deal. I am very good at managing the level of expectations. And I know that some people, probably we will hear something about it in the comments section, that some people think that their expectations were not met. But it depends what is it that you expect very much. I had some expected outcomes and some very unexpected outcomes. I knew that through my master's, I want to build a foundation for my academic career. Mm-hmm. So I right away started to, like from basically day one at the university, I started to network with professors and being like, yeah, I want an academic career. What should I do? What can you recommend? And this type of stuff. And it paid off a lot. But I think we can talk about it in the future. So in order not to jump from the topic. Then an unexpected outcome from the expectations that I had, I went, as I said, for marketing. During that degree, I realized that it's not marketing that interests me, and it's not marketing that has my biggest passion. It is communications. So I'm very grateful to whoever person who decided that digital marketing and corporate communication should go together. Thank you. Thank you very much. So yes, I did this switch from marketing to more communications courses during the degree. Also, there were, of course, obviously, at any university, in any degree, there are courses that you're like, I do not know why did I spend so much time on it. And it happens. You just, like, it depends on your attitude. Do you concentrate on the thing that, okay, I spent 20 hours for this assignment that gave me nothing? Or you're just like, okay, did it. I got my ECTS. I got my grade. Done. And forget about it and move to more interesting stuff. Like, this is a necessity, especially if it's a mandatory course. You just do it, and you like if it's not like necessary for you, you forget about it. If it's a course that you chose, well, if you realize that it's not good for you, you can skip it. Choose something else. Do not create this negative environment around yourself. Yeah, so for me, I would say that 80% of my expectations for master's level degree was met.
But I feel like you mentioned just now like a very important thing of building your own paradigm and adjusting it in a way to fit your own needs. Because what I'm getting from you, and I think you probably got that at least a little bit because of the fact that you didn't come into Finland blind in a sense. When you're coming to a country for the first time and you don't have enough experiences, a lot of your expectations are going to be based on something which will oftentimes end up being very unrealistic.
Oh, yeah, true.
But if you already have a little bit of experience, you know how to adjust the expectation that you might have. It's kind of like, the difference between everybody, 90% of guys would like to have abs. Everybody would probably like to have abs. There's a difference between somebody who expects to get them in a month, they're going to give up immediately, and they're going to be complaining about that. And then you're going to have somebody who's going to be putting in years and years worth of work, and every time they drop, the fat percentage by like 0.001, they're going to be like, oh my God, I'm going through this little progress. So it's kind of about managing these expectations. And I do love it how you're just saying about that, the reality of the situation is every course, every program is going to have classes that you like and classes that you don't like. And you just take out the stuff that is valuable to you.
Absolutely. I think this theory that we are discussing here, or hypothesis, call it whatever, is that it is applicable to absolutely any aspect of your life.
Yep.
It is up to you. Are you choosing to look at it negatively and like drown yourself in all this, I thought it will be like that, but it turned out something else? Or you will be, okay, here is the situation. If I do not like it, what do I do to change it? If I like it, cool. That's it. And I think it is very much applicable to Finland in general, because, of course, there is very, very big discussion among international people in Finland that, like, is Finland worth the efforts type of thing? And for myself, at least from the pool of people that I know, those who are happily living in Finland, they found this balance of managing their expectations and their priorities. And those who are coming with like very high expectations that are coming from unrealistic type of standpoints, yeah, that for them it doesn't really work.
But I think both things are here important. Having that right paradigm, having the right level of expectations, and also having an understanding that you can shape the future that you're going to have. And I think the big one in Finland is exactly that level of proactivity. I mean, I think we're going to get into this a little bit later, but you're a perfect example of somebody who's very proactive. You immediately mentioned the second you got on campus, you went into networking. And I hate that term. I'll just tell you off the bat. I hate the term networking because I think
me too. I hate being proactive. Let's be honest.
We all want to be in our bed and just wake up one day from a phone call from the employment office and be like, hey, we have a job for you. It's 20,000 euros and you move a pencil. But reality of the situation, I mean, then again, that would be kind of boring in life.
Exactly.
But I think in your case, it's like you're exactly saying, you went a little bit out of that comfort zone and realized this is what I want to do, and went immediately to professor.
The thing is that if you are not putting yourself out there, if you are not, I hate the word proactive in general, but if you are not like standing up and going to ask somewhere like, what can I do? How can I help? Do you have positions for me and stuff like that, or anything else? If you are just hiding in your shell, nothing gonna go your way, nothing gonna happen. And you need to find this internal motivation of why you are doing it, and what are the drivers that, like, what are the things that you want to achieve, and who are the people who can help you? Because the thing is that, at least in my experience, to achieve something, you need to find right people. And people are your biggest treasure. They are your biggest resource, and they are your biggest help. Definitely. At least in Finland, 90% of jobs that I have, for example, because recruitment is a big thing for international students and international people, they came through connections, like except one that went through application process. But yeah, people will help you if you are like asking for this help. So that's the thing, you need to ask.
So who's the first person that you asked? Who did you reach
about
out?
what?
Good point. You said that you were interested in doing research at the university, and you immediately started reaching out to your faculty members. So who were they? Like, I mean, you don't have to say specific names, but in what way did that help you?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So at first, I talked to the person who was like student counselor or student supervisor of DMCC. I'm not sure what is that. Like,
or like a educational coordinator, I'm guessing?
Oh, something like that. I'm not sure. So she was the person who was babysitting us, let's say. I was like, yeah, I aspire for academic career. And she was like, oh, really? Here is the thing that you can do to help me. And then I also mentioned to her that I am teaching English. And she was like, yeah, I know a person here in Jyväskylä who owns a language center. Do you want me to connect you to her? And that's the job that I've been doing during my master's. I've been teaching English to kids in this language center. And all it took me to get this job is to ask and tell that, yeah, I'm doing that. Do you know any opportunities? But this wasn't like the biggest boom that happened when I asked for stuff. Closer to the second year, I do not remember exactly when it was, but I was like, okay, I'm graduating, let's say in a year, and I want an academic career. We need to start acting. And I searched for heads of research groups in JSBE, Jyväskylä University School of Business and Economics. And there were 2 people. And I'm sending them an email saying that, yeah, I want to do research for free. Take me. Something like that. And one person did not have anything to offer, but another, my current PhD supervisor, Vilma, if you're watching this, you're the best. She right away suggested me 3 options how I can be helpful in research. And I started doing it for free. And not even for credits at first. And then I got some credits eventually from it. But I was desperate for experience. I think that's something that helped me a lot in finding the further employment and so on. I was desperate to gain as much relevant experience as I can for free.
I mean, I do want to say that does have a monetary value. It might not be an immediate monetary value, but when you do get that experience,
it pays off.
You can at least talk about it. Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I was doing like a lot of small tasks that eventually turned out to be in 2 working contracts for university during my studies. So I was helping with the new international bachelor program planning, and then I was helping with the accreditation process of our School of Business and Economics. And yeah, all thanks to one email to the correct person. Isn't that amazing?
But I think that is something that you get from a university environment. And that's a big thing that I think people need to realize. Getting admission to an educational institution in Finland doesn't just mean, in 2 years you're going to get a degree. You're getting like this huge pool of people, intellectuals, academics, industry experts. Yeah. And just having that willingness like you had it, I need to talk to these people because I have this particular desire, goal, whatever. And as sooner or later, you're going to bump into somebody.
Absolutely. As long as you keep doing something towards the direction where you want to go, that will eventually pay off. And university is a great, coming back to the topic why everybody needs a university in their life. Exactly for this reason. You have a huge amount of possibilities if you are connected to the university environment.
And so speaking about the university environment and stuff paying off, in your very literal sense, the work that you did for your master's thesis literally paid off because you got 2 awards that I know of. One is in Finnish, which I'm not going to even try to pronounce because I'm trying to not embarrass myself too much. And the other one is the European Business Ethics Network awarded you an award for the best thesis in Finland, right?
Yeah, it was actually early this year that I received that award for 2023. Yeah, so you can earn money on your master's thesis, guys. This is amazing. I didn't know about this opportunity when I was writing my master's thesis. So the deal was that I obviously hijacked Vilma as my master's thesis supervisor, and we right away knew that we will be writing the thesis. Well, I will be writing, she will be supervising the thesis in a way that we will make a publication out of it. So that was the only thing I was concentrating on. So the thesis must be decent enough to proceed with it during my PhD. And that's it. So I wrote it, submitted it, got my grade, applied for PhD, got admitted to PhD. That's it. And then when the things started to happen, very interesting, I got nominated within JSBE for the best thesis in my discipline. I won that, so I got the scholarship. Then I applied for another scholarship and I got it. And then all of a sudden, Vilma, again, the best, she sends me an email like, hey, there is this European Business Ethics Network award going on. Do you want to submit your thesis? I'm like, yeah, why not? I mean, they required 200 words motivational letter or something like this to accompany the thesis and the thesis itself. That's it. So very low-key entrance. Well, first you need to have the master's thesis.
You got to write 87 pages of a master's thesis. I think it was 87 in your case.
Yeah, I'm still shocked that you read my master's thesis. Okay.
I read portions of it so that people don't have an expectation. Not every guest gets their master's thesis read. Not every guest.
Yeah, okay. Yes, so I submitted without any further thought, and then they contacted me we decided to choose your thesis as the winner. So I got the scholarship from them as well. So that was a nice bonus.
So again, all of this started with a simple, hi, I'm a student here. I just came here. I would like to do some research for free. KK, thanks.
Yes.
Do you ever reflect on that and just think to yourself well, this is cool. I'm happy with this.
I'm incredibly grateful. There are people in my life who just came very randomly in my life, and then it turned out to be something very big. And that's the case with my supervisor. And but I think in general in life, this has always happened. Big things happen from something small.
But I think it's important to be in the right community.
Oh, definitely.
I'll get a little bit personal here. I was in a community for 4 years where, let's just say, regardless of how many times you ask for certain things, if you get a response for an email, you should consider yourself happy. But I think here I don't know how they managed to structure the university that way, but I do genuinely have a feeling that people they care about this being an educational institution.
Absolutely. And maybe somewhere in Finland the situation is different, but I personally always got the help I needed and always got the compassion and understanding, and people truly care, at least the professors that I worked with. Of course, it's very personal. You have to find the right person, the one who will be compassionate, helpful, and all these things to you. But in general, it is probably much easier to find that person or group of people for yourself. And in general, Finnish society is built like that.
Yep. And I mean, there's that level of trust and comfort. I mean, you're literally just super excitedly calling your thesis advisor Vilma, as if she's your best friend.
Well,
maybe she is.
Actually, the thing is that in Finland, this very horizontal hierarchy is amazing.
I think it normalizes a lot of stuff.
Absolutely.
I think it humbles the educators a little bit, and it lowers also the fear that students might have of asking a question. Because if you have this mentality of, God knows for a 5, I know for a 4, you maybe know at best for a 3, of course a student isn't going to feel comfortable to come up to you and ask you a question. But if you have this mentality of like, yeah, of course you can call me, but it's not, something that's very interesting to me is the professors that I've had here, the default is the first name. They don't even have to tell you like, it's okay to call me this, it doesn't have to be Mr. or whatever. And I think that puts everybody on that level of comfort. Because imagine if you had a friend who's, I don't know, nuclear physicist, you'd be a lot more comfortable asking them how, fusion works rather than if you bumped into, I was going to say Stephen Hawking, but he's been underground for a couple of years, Neil deGrasse Tyson or somebody like that, where you have that immediate level of comfort.
Yeah, that's true. Like, I originally come from more like different culture where the superiority of teachers is more emphasized.
Yep.
So when I first moved to Finland, it was very weird to call teacher just by first name. So this is something that I now think, I do not even think about it. I mean, you call the professors, the teachers by their first names, and people at work also by their first names. And you kind of tend to forget that in other parts in the world, it is very different.
And I think that might give people a little bit of like a barrier, because I think a big thing that people mention in Finland is always, we already said the word networking, and that's always the big advice that you get in Finland. Oh, just talk to people, which is always also a paradox because there is this idea of like, oh, Finns are very closed off people, but just communicate with people and you will find an opportunity. And I think that blows the minds from most people that are coming from abroad, because first you're expecting a closed off society. And on top of that, if you have like this rigid hierarchy in your brain, of course you're going to be thinking like, oh, why would I, a simple, lonely, not even master's holding student,
who would want to talk to me?
Exactly. What is the value in the thing that I have to say? And what I think they really understand here is it's an educational institution. Our point is to teach. Sometimes we're going to be successful, sometimes we're not. But I think it's, it's a two-way street. The professors are there as a resource, they give in the effort, but the students also have to, put in their own effort.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And again, you're the perfect example over here. You're one of the more proactive people I've met. I mean, even you were proactive to get on the podcast. You were just like, hey, I have something that I would like to offer. Would you like to have a conversation? And somebody mastered here, the Finnish networking style.
But important note that so that it does not backfire on us, Finns are quite closed people compared to many other countries and cultures. So it is not easy to network here. It is not always easy to find the right place to network. And university is the best place to network.
I think it's difficult to network everywhere. Especially, I think, after COVID, that probably made it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
And I think, sure, Finland has its own cultural peculiarities, just like every other place does. And, it takes you a little bit of time to understand it. But that's the value of having support systems here, where, for example, if you're a new student, you have a tutor. And you can get a little bit of advice. Or in your case, say you had that educational coordinator.
Yeah.
Who you say, like, babysat you guys. JSBE really loves its students, it seems.
Yeah, it was very helpful and very genuine, I would say.
So what's it like to do your PhD right now?
Oh.
What's the topic even?
My topic, so I research, to put it simple, corporate misinformation. When companies communicate about something which is not entirely true, and how stakeholders show their dissent with it. So how can it backfire on the company, and what kind of consequences does it have? So in particular, now I'm researching the cases of greenwashing. So if the company is accused of greenwashing, first of all, how is it happening? What are the triggers and who are the stakeholders who can accuse you of greenwashing and so on? And long-term consequences of these actions of companies.
Okay, so very much an extension of the master's thesis you did about the KLM thing.
Yeah, kinda, yes. Concentrate on, let's say, negative things of communication, like where because for a long time it was believed that if the company communicates about their corporate social responsibility and how they are helpful to environment, people, and everything around them, it has only positive things for the company. The trust grows, the reputation improves, their profit grows, and so on, and everybody loves them. So like butterflies, unicorns, and all everything is pink. But it is not entirely true. And the corporate social responsibility and communication around it has negative consequences. And it is very recent that the academic community started to pay a lot of attention to it. So what are the negative impacts of companies being not so truthful, or being truthful but still being accused of something? Because the thing is that in our modern communication environment, in modern world, it is not that hard to get accused of something. So, and companies struggle a lot with it because like the motive, the intent can be very genuine and very pro-corporate social responsibility in the most positive way, but they still get the backfire. And it is us academics who are trying to understand how does it happen, why does it happen, who triggers it, and how to mitigate it.
So, well, let me just see if I'm even remotely getting this straight. Would it be possible then that it might even be better for a company not to publicly announce the things that they're doing and just do them kind of in the background? Or is there like or kind of getting back to that conversation about expectations? For example, a company, let's say, I'm trying to come up with a name of a company so that we don't get sued.
Company X. Oh no, there is such.
Yeah, there is one. Formerly known as Twitter. Who calls it X? Sorry, Elon. Cheroflot. Let's call it like that.
Okay.
Cheroflot.
I hope it does not exist in the world. If it does, we apologize in advance.
Legally, you cannot sue me. Or the guest. Or the university, for that matter. So we have some sort of like an airline called Cheroflot. And Cheroflot says that they're making an investment in, I don't know, planting 1 million trees. And they're very publicly saying it. But in the end, they only planted 500,000 trees. So are you guys kind of contemplating, would it have been better for them to not say anything?
Okay, yeah. So the thing is that it is not exactly the action, it is how you communicate about it. So it is all about words and about framing and about the persuasion tactics that you use. So, for example, if you're building too, let's say, rosy picture, too good, too easy to solve type of thing, especially if we are talking about airlines, making air industry, air flying sustainable is very hard. And obviously not every single person who uses planes understand that it is very hard to make airlines sustainable. Because, I mean, you need to dive deep into the topic to understand, like, will planting of, let's say, 100 of trees compensate your impact or not? Do you know? I don't. And so on. So very small amount of people can calculate like the CO2 release from the flight and from the trees and blah, blah, blah. Too complicated. Who has energy to calculate all that? But if you see an ad or just a slogan, anything about the fact that, yeah, if you are flying with this and that company, you will be making less damage to the planet. You kind of tend to, I want to be a good person. Let's fly with this company. So that's how it works. And then there comes into place the other groups of stakeholders. So it's not about the company and customers only. It is also about all the people, groups, organizations in the world of this company. So activists can come and play. And this is usually the group that accuses of something like greenwashing. And when activists come, they like debunk what was being said. And often it is not about the action, but the company trying to persuade their customers on something that is not exactly true if you are diving too deep into it. Yes, if you plant the trees, there is the positive impact for the environment. Nobody is arguing it. But you cannot say that you planting trees will absolutely eliminate your negative impact. That's the thing. So it is about communication. And I am being biased, being a communication researcher. I think that everything in the world is about communication.
See, this is why I do the natural sciences. I get along with those things a little bit better with the formulas and everything.
Yeah, it is much more straightforward. The thing is that based on how you frame your sentence, you can get billions of different results.
Oh, yeah. And I think you're in a difficult situation where how do you measure the impact of something like this?
It's not very measurable.
Exactly.
Unless you put it into numbers, but that's not also very objective.
Yeah, especially for a thing like this. I mean, how do you measure? What's the measure of negative social impact on a company? How many, I don't know.
Yeah, it is very complicated. So what scholars do, they usually run surveys among customers, for example, and companies run this. Probably everyone gets this type of surveys. How did we do? Give us the feedback and type of thing. So that's how it is measured. Okay.
So backtracking a little bit, and I'm totally not running away from this because it made me feel intellectually intimidated and inferior. So you're doing both a PhD and you're also working, right?
Yeah, in the industry, right.
How do you find the time and the energy?
That's a very good question. Well, based on my story, it probably is obvious that I'm
workaholic?
Multitasker.
That's a nicer way to say it, I guess.
Yes. The problem is that when the world is so interesting, how can you do just one thing? I truly do not understand it. And that's the case with me. I want to develop in academia and I want to develop in corporate world because I was very lucky to find the company where I want to work, where I feel passionate about the product and about what we are doing. So, yeah.
But I think that's kind of essential. I had this conversation once with an academic who said that because he likes to walk this line between, he teaches at university, but he always makes sure that he's doing some side stuff in the industry. And I asked him once, it's the same question like I asked you right now, how do you have the time and energy? And his big comment was, in order for me to be an effective researcher, I have to know what is going on in the real world.
Yeah, I can relate. I think it is, my corporate work is not directly related to my research, but still it keeps you interested in what you're doing, I think.
But do you find it kind of refreshing? Like when you're doing something a little bit different?
It depends. It very much depends.
I mean, in this case, for example, with your job.
There are good days, there are bad days. Sometimes you do feel overwhelmed. I will not be building an overly positive picture here saying that everybody should do PhD with their full-time job. No, guys, I do not recommend that.
Wait, it's a full-time job?
Yes, it is.
I thought it was part-time.
No, it is full-time job. And I do not recommend it unless you cannot exist without both, which is my case.
Like, you're really that curious, that just the curiosity itself.
Yeah, that's why I think that education is fascinating, isn't it? I mean, you can learn so much. I'm getting way too engaged about it.
No, hey, I completely understand. I mean, you're literally talking to a guy who decided to do 2 master's degrees.
Oh, yeah.
So,
here we are.
And my joke half the time is I'm going to do a 3rd one.
Why not? I mean, as long as you are mentally stable, go ahead.
I think the sign of doing multiple masters is a sign of mental instability, but...
but we are not getting there.
Yeah, we're gonna leave that for my therapist when I have one day. But so, what is the work that you do exactly right now? Where do you even work?
Yes, I work in the company called Real Game Business Simulations. It is a Finnish-based company that does business simulations for universities and companies in the fields of operations management, supply chain management, business, data analytics, so many fields. So basically, there is a game for students, and it, in a very engaging and in a very illustrative manner, helps teacher to teach their courses.
So you basically gamified education.
Yes.
Okay, so now it makes complete sense to me that you're in a company like that.
Yes, exactly. So it combines it. Remember, in the beginning of the episode, I said that possibly I want to combine education and communications and marketing, and I'm doing marketing and communications in the education technology company. Isn't that amazing?
It's such a win-win. But so you say it's a domestic Finnish company?
Yes, it is.
Where is it based?
Turku.
Oh, so do you have to go
Yeah,
back?
yeah. I need to commute sometimes, but mostly I can work remotely, so I can stay in Jyväskylä and do my PhD-related stuff quite easily.
Oh, okay. And you get to stay, farther up north, as we've concluded that is the preferred thing.
Yeah, but I bet some people might argue that calling Jyväskylä North might not be it's central Finland.
Yeah. It's the jewel of Finland. It's in the heart of Finland.
The best city.
I will tell you that, I genuinely believe that. I'm not saying that because they're paying me. I genuinely believe it.
That's why I live here. It's amazing. It's not too big, not too small, has everything that is needed and has the university, which is the main thing.
Hey, it has technically free universities if we're going to go there.
True.
So you have your intellectual curiosities. I'm going to sidetrack just a little bit because I saw the excitement in your eyes when you said, about the city. Why do you like Jyväskylä so much?
Oh, as I said, it is not too big, not too small, and has a university. Here are the three things why Jyväskylä is the best city in Finland. And also, well, I think it is not only about Jyväskylä, but nature is super close everywhere in Finland. And it is an extremely important thing for everyone who lives in Finland for some time, I think. And I just happen to love the parks and lakes and forests in Jyväskylä better than in any other place where I lived so far.
Oh, yeah, I genuinely love the city in the sense, exactly what you're talking about, the nature and the closeness. You're walking to class and you can hear, the different sounds, the animals, the smells and everything. And what I absolutely love is just the proximity of the campus. At least, we're roughly in the same region. I'm in Mikkeli.
20 minutes walk.
Yeah,
30 minutes walk. Perfect.
Everything's in walking distance. I just love looking at the lake. Mm-hmm. There was this, what they say in the modern days, touch grass. And
oh, yeah, barefoot walking and all this kind of stuff.
Hug a tree. Literal.
Have you ever hugged a tree?
Many times, actually.
I did too. Yay.
Something actually that funnily enough, I got into it with a colleague who's coincidentally, her name is also Alina. We would go on hikes back in undergrad during COVID. And I was just like, oh my God, I need to hug a tree. That was the one thing that we need to...
It grounds you. I have no clue how it works, but it works.
I mean, we did start off as cavemen, and then our progress was to get into the forests. So maybe there's a genetic correlation to that.
How did we jump from talking about science to hugging a tree? Well, I think it is connected somehow.
I believe it is connected. It's there's.
If you're a scientist, you're allowed to be weird.
If you're a human, you're allowed to be weird.
Okay, yes, let's not discriminate.
No, I mean, what is weirdness anyway? It's just
How do you define it? That's true.
Exactly, it's just a moment of perception. Somebody might think that a person who is doing a PhD at the same time while having a full-time job is insanely weird and who wants to hug a tree.
Well, that is a matter of fact. The person who does PhD with a full-time job is weird.
But I think there are just some people who function that way. Who really enjoy that, and it's not for everybody. So that job that you're doing right now, getting back from, hugging the trees, did you get it by hugging a tree?
Oh, unfortunately not, but I also got it through the university somewhat. So it was a rather harsh period of time for me. So our episode today is very positive and everything, but of course there are very gloomy days and month even. And I knew that, okay, graduation from master's program is approaching. What am I going to do? Where I'm going to work? How my life going to look like? And I've been applying, and I knew that getting a job in Finland, it is the easiest way is to get it through internship.
Mm-hmm.
And I've searched for internship starting from the first year. And in the summer between I plan to do it in the summer between the first and second master's year. And that was terrible, goddamn. Really, so that nobody sees it as an easy way. It is never easy for anyone. So whenever you see a very happy person online, please remember that it is not always about happiness and positive stuff. So it was the same for me. I got rejected many times. Even once there was a position in a company or organization that was connected to the government, and there was the combination of communications and marketing and education. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's it. That has to be. Oh, come on. I wanted to combine these fields. And I ended up in the last round of interviews with another person, and I was not chosen. This is a hard thing to go through, and it was painful, and you start to question your self-worth and everything. So, yeah, and it was in summer, and lasted this kind of period with rejections and everything, lasted till November. So, good half a year. And in November, I get a very random email. I do not even remember from whom it was. Something like, we got this information that the company is looking for interns. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm sending everything. I went through the website. I read the description of the job. And I was like, okay, business simulations. That sounds like education and marketing. Maybe that's it. So I went to the website and I right away understood that okay, Finnish-based business simulations company, I need to do my best to proceed with this application. And yeah, I filled in all the stuff that was needed. I invested time in the motivational letter. Usually when you are applying all the time, you just have the motivational letter that you somewhat modify and send it out. And I really worked on that one.
I'm going to interrupt you very quickly on this thing. Did anybody help you with all the job applications?
No, I was alone by myself as a strong and independent woman.
I was waiting for that statement.
Here it is. But you're welcome.
We're going to use it in the short as clickbait. But how did you figure out how to do it? Because, I can hear somebody...
Oh, yeah. I'm going to share life hacks with our audience now. So you learn from your mistakes a lot. And you learn... because when you're sending a lot of applications, it's somewhat as A/B testing. You're sending this thing, and then see what works type of thing. So it is very important to shorten the way you speak, use the keywords very carefully, because the people who are reading your applications, they are not reading it very thoroughly. It's impossible. We have to relate to these people in HR. They are getting hundreds of applications, even more, thousands in some positions. So absolutely, they do not have time. So one thing that worked for me very well, and this is a big life hack for all people who are now looking for a job. For me, it was so that, do you remember there was a period of time when everyone started to do their CVs in Canva?
Oh, yeah.
And in general, trying to make their CVs looking beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah, there was this very famous post of a person getting a job at Spotify because he or she or they did the CV looking like Spotify interface. It was very popular in social media. And I also had my CV with a picture and so on. And then I was like, I don't remember where did I get this idea, probably from somewhere online. And I did my CV like from the 90s, like a blank 1-page A4 format times New Roman 12. Very, very like blank with a very clear structure, and all the descriptions of my skills started with action verb. Organized, managed, controlled, so on, like random verbs with very specific numeric results. So something KPI related, like measurable.
You want to just mention what's KPI?
Key performance indicator. I hope people who are searching for a new job, they know what's KPI. If you don't, do your research, guys. So yeah, I did the CV like that and it worked. It did work. I got a lot of replies from that CV. It was closer to the date when I was already applying for a job at Real Game. Mm-hmm. And yeah, Real Game has invited me for the interview or the first round. And I did prepare. I did my homework. I had the ideas because I desperately needed that job. I was like, if this is not it, I have no idea what I'm gonna do. So probably that was kind of clear to my now colleagues that I was very desperate for that job. But I hope they didn't pity me, but actually hired me for my skills. Yeah, so it was 2-round interview, and I knew after the was it 3 rounds? Well, whatever, several rounds of interview. And I knew that by the end there were 2 people among whom they were choosing. And it was right before Christmas. I think it was a week before Christmas or something. And that was like, we will call you, like when we have the decision. And from the experience, I know if, not always, but often if the company doesn't call you back within like 2-3 working days, they are probably talking to another candidate and are waiting until this person signs the papers to inform you.
Yep.
And with Real Game, after the second interview, I think like maybe a week has passed, and I was like, yeah, I need to prepare to cry a lot. So I remember, like, as it was yesterday, I was walking, and it's December in Finland. I mean, I'm packed. I look like a penguin. I was walking somewhere, and the thing is that phones do not live in cold temperatures very well. So I had my phone in my glove. It's a life hack for those who are moving to Finland from warm countries. In winter, you put your phone in your glove so that it is warm from your body also hits the phone. So I had my phone in my glove, and I hear that there is a phone call, and I had it there, and I was like, what do I do? And it was the phone call from my current supervisor saying that they are happy to welcome me to Real Game. That was one of the best Christmas presents I have ever got. And it turned out that they also hired the second person because they couldn't decide between us. And we became colleagues. And the internship was for 5 months. And after that, they hired us full-time. And I got promoted to the marketing communications manager position. And this is where I work for over a year and a half already, and I'm proud to be a part of Real Game team.
I genuinely find it lovely how the company was willing to compromise on their own stuff when they realized that, okay, we have 2 good candidates, we would like to keep them both. That's I don't know anything about the company, but like kudos to them for having enough wisdom to recognize talent.
You are the best, guys.
You're praising everybody.
I mean, if I meet wonderful people in my life, why shouldn't I praise them? I mean, why shouldn't I tell that these people are doing very great things in their lives?
I think somebody's trying to get another promotion.
No, it's not about promotion. It's about being grateful to people around you.
No, I completely understand that. Like, you're preaching to the choir.
I mean, the thing is that if you are nice to people, people gonna be nice to you. There is a saying in my mother tongue that, like, treat people the way you want them to treat you. I want everyone to be happy and feel comfortable around me. So that's what I'm doing, genuinely.
Okay. Kind of just slightly backtracking.
Of course.
This Christmas present. I can imagine just like the level of excitement.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in like, was it one of those, dark, gloomy December nights in Finland?
Yeah, I was in the middle of nowhere, literally with one like light, dark, snowing, everything. It was like from the movie, but from some comedic movie because I was trying to get my phone out of the glove.
Oh, then the light was coming through the glove from the phone.
No, it was like very thick glove. It's December.
Fair enough. So how has it been working at the company so far? I do not want to put like too rosy picture. It was great. Like, to put it simple, it was great because I am doing the things that I have always wanted to do. And I'm doing it with a great team who wants to develop. But of course, there are things that are getting difficult sometimes because, I mean, corporate world is not easy. So does academia. Like, it is not always easy to combine a lot of tasks, and sometimes it gets overwhelming. But in general, when you love what you're doing, the stress is not that bad, I would say. But of course, it is there. Of course, there are things that you feel stressed with, the things that, like, I want to do this and that. How do I fit it in 8-hour working day type of thing? And or 7.5 if we do not count the lunch. Yeah, so the difficulty with work is always how to manage to do everything that you want to do. But the one thing that I was kind of wondering about is, how do you feel that your coursework and the actual program at JYU helped you handle that?
Well, you learn to multitask, definitely, because you are having several courses on different topics at the same time, with assignments, with the exams or whatever. So, yeah, that helps a lot. Also, I mean, come on, the primary purpose of any degree is to give you the skills. Obviously, without the skills that I got from my master's, I would not be able to do what I'm doing now at my job. Definitely. So, yeah, if I rephrase your question, did DMCC and JYU, University of Jyväskylä, help me in my working life? The answer is yes.
I appreciate, the simple, just like rephrase. But there's another thing that I need to ask you, and there's always this opinion of, I do appreciate the fact that you're giving a lot, like, nicer look about the situation. I'm not saying that, it's not, rose-colored glasses viewpoint, but it's this viewpoint of, sure, there is a struggle, but you can overcome it if you put in the effort. But something that I'm just trying to think about what people might say. Somebody might say, oh, you've been here since high school, you probably like learned Finnish or something, and that helped you, because people assume that the big barrier is Finnish language.
Yeah.
So first of all, is your job in Finnish?
My job is fully in English, which is great. But of course, we practice some Finnish. But the actual, typing of texts is in English. And the official language of the company is English.
Okay.
Yeah, but I do understand that I have a little bit of privilege in the amount of years I've spent in Finland. I feel very comfortable. Finland is my home. Love this country. And but my Finnish is not C2. No, not even C1. I got B2 with my proved by Ykitesti. Yes, and but Finnish is a big kind of problem for internationals in Finland, definitely, because a lot of workplaces require it.
So just quick little aside, can you tell the listeners what is Yki?
Oh, yeah. So when you spend enough time in Finland, you want to stay here forever for the rest of your life. You want to apply, for example, for Finnish citizenship, or you just study Finnish and you want to know what is your level. So this is a national, like state exam of Finnish language. And people who apply for Finnish citizenship, they must do that test. And a spoiler, this test is prepared at JYU. And JYU is heavily involved in Ykitesti. So this is the alma mater of Finnish language studies.
So would you say that actually the Finnish language courses at JYU helped you? And yes, I know what we're going for. I know what we're going for.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about it. And once again, spoiler, we have opinions that a little bit differ, but I think it adds spice to the episode.
Do we want to go with the... Actually, first I need to tell you one thing. I think you're underselling your success by having a B2 on the Yki because the requirement is a B1.
Is it?
Yeah, the requirement
I didn't know.
So you went one level above.
Ooh, nice.
And I think that's, I mean, no, B2 is fairly impressive. I mean, that means you're comfortable with like everyday conversations.
Yeah, it is quite easy to have conversations like on simple life stuff. But when it comes to, for example, academic Finnish, no.
I mean, so what level of Finnish did you come into?
Yeah, okay, so since I have long history in Finland, of course I had the prior language knowledge before coming to JYU for my master's. And because I didn't want to go through the basics of the language once again in my life, I enrolled, so any international student in Finland must complete at least one course in Finnish language. And it doesn't matter whether it is Finnish 1, the easiest, or any other Finnish. And I enrolled right away to Finnish 3. And here where it comes the difference between your experience and my experience. So shortly about my experiences. Courses of Finnish language at University of Jyväskylä were the key thing why I passed Yki. I have never had better courses in Finnish ever before. And I was extremely lucky with the teacher, with the group. I took around 4 or 5 courses, I think, of Finnish. I will not count like now, but yeah, over the course of my master's, I was always studying Finnish, always practicing. And by the end of my master's, I passed Yki. So I started from Finnish 3 and continued further on. So I skipped the basic stuff.
Finnish 3 is B1, right?
I hope that it is not, because I think it is A2, because you cannot like jump over a level of language in half a year. That's impossible. I think it is A2. You should invite someone from language school to explain stuff like that, and actually ask the question why the beginners level courses are difficult for internationals.
See, I think you actually might have like slightly changed my opinion about like Finnish 1 and Finnish 2, because I had this opinion of I was not a fan of Finnish 1. That's not something that I deny. And I say again, public disclaimer, that is my personal opinion. If we say that something is great, that is a fact. If something is not great, it's a personal opinion. That's usually how it works. But no, so like I did not like it, just didn't vibe with me. I felt like I left it, with not so major progress. And I kept thinking like, okay, what didn't work? Was it me? Was it the professor? Was it the environment? Whatever. And when I come back to it is, the professor was great. Can't blame them at all. But I think the big difference was, and that's kind of what you mentioned the other day, it's about the group that you're in. There is this fact that when it's your first Finnish language course, you're already going through a cultural adaptation to the society. You're trying to learn how the master's program functions. And as you mentioned, everybody has to do it. And people are going to have, different commitments, different desires, how much they want to invest themselves into the language. And then that can shape a little bit the perception. So I think for me, it was just kind of like, I'm already going through a lot of these things that I'm trying to figure out. And not everybody is super enthusiastic about this. And there were a lot of us anyway. So I think that might have influenced the difference in our opinion over here. But honestly, just like hearing you say that made me even reconsider, like, oh, maybe I should take like Finnish 3 at some point.
Highly recommended, especially if the professor is the same who taught me, because that was very good. And also, as you mentioned, the group, I was very lucky with the group, because the thing is that one of the key things to progressing was the fact that you actually speak without being afraid to make mistake, because everybody around you is committed to study, so they also try to speak the best they can, and they also do mistakes. So you feel comfortable, so these people have the same motivation, and at the same time they're on the same level, so they are making mistakes. Somebody speaks better, somebody speaks not so innocent, so advanced words and so on. But in general, you are among people who want to learn. So that makes the difference, I think.
Yeah, everybody's roughly in the same ballpark. And again, I do gotta say, like, I kind of love it that we had like different experiences, because I think oftentimes people are gonna have different experiences with everything.
Absolutely.
And I think the problem might at times be, maybe somebody who would have bumped into me 6 months ago and asked, like, hey, how's Finnish? When I would have said, like, oh my God, it's horrible. Don't take it. Don't take any of it. But now if somebody bump into you, you can say, like, yeah, no, it really helped me with my education. And that's kind of like the important thing to show people.
I'm quite confident that people in our groups, like, for example, the person who was sitting next to me on Finnish 3 course could have absolutely opposite opinion from mine, because it is so individual.
And I think that's the important thing of just understanding that you have to experience it for yourself and understand that, hell, your opinion is going to change.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm going to try to kind of like reel us back to the, whole work stuff. What is a big piece of advice that you would offer to incoming international students?
In terms of possibilities of work further
Actually, let's
on?
go with this. Like, what's the first thing that you think about when I say advice for incoming international students?
Manage your expectations.
Okay.
Learn to be an adult. Think of the decisions. So all this basic stuff, like, actually, a very important thing that I would say, for example, if, let's say, my younger sister came to me for an advice regarding Finland, I would say that you must try to, as soon as possible, understand if Finland is your country. By your country, I mean if that's the place that fulfills you, if that's the place where you feel like you are at home, if that's the place where you want to stay. Because that is the main thing here. If you understand that, okay, Finland is not my place, this happens. People are different. For some people, it is very important to live by the seashore and have plus 30 like half a year. And in Finland, you obviously cannot have that, unfortunately.
Or fortunately, if you're some of us.
Yes, exactly. Once again, people are different. So, and if you are not the person who feels like Finland is your place, you can get the education, because the education is great. And I know a lot of people who got a degree in Finland and built a very successful career abroad. A lot of people. So that can be your path. If you are a person who feels like, yeah, when I land in Helsinki airport, I relax. That's me. Hello. Yeah, it's just like, until you get that feeling, you cannot understand. But I know many people who are like, yeah, when I land there, I'm like, oh, finally, I can just relax and be okay.
The joy of hearing Finnish again. Like, I don't even speak the language even remotely properly, but the second I land in Vantaa and I just hear people like, you know, it's like...
Yeah, home, finally, exactly. So if you're from this category as you and I, you need to, start learning Finnish. There is no way avoiding it. Absolutely no way. If you want to spend your life here, start learning Finnish. It is worth it. Second thing is try to build your network within Finnish community. So if you found your industry, your niche, look what is happening in this field in Finland. Who are the key speakers? Who are the key players? What are the companies that are there? So start your research and start trying to find how to connect to these individuals, companies, and so on. I do not promise that it will work for everyone. Obviously not. And who says that you will be able to find your industry immediately, or you will not want to change it later on easily? So the thing is that if you decide for yourself that I am going to do everything that I can to stay in Finland, you start do everything that you can. That's it.
Yeah, don't just put your toe in the water and, you know, stay there for an hour thinking if you're going to jump in or not. You already made the decision to come here. Might as well just jump into the pool, or in this context, jump into the lake.
Exactly. So the thing is that you need to understand, is Finland a long-term commitment in your life or short-term commitment in your life?
But I think the best way to come into it is with assume that it's going to be a long-term commitment. Mm-hmm. Because then your chances of it actually working out as a long-term commitment are increasing.
Yeah, definitely.
Just like what you said, you know, when you come here, start learning Finnish immediately. Because if you go in with the attitude of like, yes, maybe.
Or start learning it before you're coming here.
Start learning it yesterday. That's the one thing. If I could travel back in time and just like send myself a single note, it wouldn't be, hey, there's going to be a pandemic. Okay, maybe I would tell myself who's going to win the World Cup or something. But the simple note would be, learn Finnish. Just like transport of 4 years into the past. Yeah. Any piece of advice that you have for students who are freshly graduating? One of them being in front of you.
Oh, yeah. Actually, for students who are not yet graduating, start looking for a job. The earlier you start, the better. Because, I mean, the recruitment, like the lead time of you being recruited is very long in Finland. It is a matter of fact. Some are very lucky, some are not. It happens. And advice to those who are graduating, I think it will be absolutely the same as to those who are just starting. Yeah, I cannot come up with anything very smart. I will not be able to crack the code here, you know. I mean, Finland is very individual for absolutely every single person. I can give advice to those who want to go to academia. Yeah, actually, academia is one of the fields in Finland that is very English friendly. Mm-hmm. By the way, this is probably important to some people who are considering coming to Finland, but are like doubting, will I be able to like
have a career with
career with English in academia? It is possible. The thing is that academia has its own tricks with grants and all this stuff. It is very hard to get funding.
A lot of paperwork.
And it is not that you will be engaging in your research 24/7. No, academia is not only about research.
I think half of the time is unfortunately writing grants, but when you get the grant and get to do the research, that's the happiness.
That's the best part, absolutely. Yeah, so prior research, before you get any decision, do the research of the field.
Yep.
Actually, one of the advices I got early on when I started to vocalize that I want a career in academia-related things, they're like, think twice. Are you sure? And for me, it is not about like money or success. It's about doing what I love. So I think this is the best motivation if you want to go to academia. If you want to go to academia for money, No, but that's not
Go
the
into
plan.
consulting.
Yeah, but to get to consulting, you have to be on a certain level and probably do a fair share of academia.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, there is that prediction that we're all going to be digital consultants thanks to AI. I don't know if I buy that yet. But hey, so since we spoke a little bit about networking and advice and everything, my kind of last bit for you is, do you have any networking opportunities for students? Any jobs, internships, something you can recommend?
Yes, we have a big present to our listeners. So,
Is this Oprah now? You get it.
yes, so I was allowed to share this information with the people who will watch our episode and listen it on Spotify and Apple, I think. Podcasts. Yeah, everywhere. So Real Game Business Simulation is planning to announce 2 internships very soon. So I will not be sharing any details yet, but please follow us on LinkedIn. All the information will be published there. Real Game Business Simulations on LinkedIn is a place where you will find all the information about upcoming internships in English in Finland. You're welcome. Yes, and if anybody just wants to chit-chat with me, also can drop me a message in LinkedIn. Yes.
I think this is literally the perfect place to stop.
Yay!
I don't see where next I could go with this. Well, hey, Alina, thank you so much. Thank you for your time, your energy, your enthusiasm. It is genuinely lovely to see somebody who has this immense love for this country, this entire area, and who's really found a way to accept and appreciate everything that's offered to you, but also to have this willingness to, take the essential step forward and try to get something for yourself. Because I think it's very important for people to realize that there are many good things ahead of them, but they need to be willing to take that first step and take that risk. So for you guys, we hope this was, the first step for your future successful careers in Finland, your wonderful education at the University of Jyväskylä. You can watch this entire episode multiple times because I think it's one of those you can watch many times. As Alina mentioned, there's going to be an announcement at
Real Game Business Simulations on LinkedIn.
So keep track of that and any other possible internship and work opportunities, study opportunities that you have. If you're a freshly incoming student, start immediately. Start with Finnish, start reaching out to your future faculty members, and just have a great time. Explore things, and we will see you in the next episode. Kiitos ja moikka. Cheers.